Good morning. Welcome to our Saturday Wake and Bake Live series. Sorry, I was running around before I jumped on. But good morning. Today on our Wake and Bake Live series, we are going to be talking about cannabis versus opiates. Now, let me go ahead and say we are not doctors. We are not medical professionals. Everything that will be spoken today is from our personal story, from our personal view that has happened to us. I have grabbed some facts from the CDC website for some numbers just to kind of let you guys get a better idea. But yeah, just know that these are for, good morning, everyone. All of this is just our stories that we want the world to hear and from us personally, because it's being silenced. So the more stories that we get and the more we gather together and the louder we get, and then eventually they're going to hear us. So let me go ahead and let Miss Jillian on.
She's coming. Good morning, everyone, by the way, in the comments. Good morning. Miss Jillian and I were actually talking about that last week. We want to start getting better about replying to you guys. I know for sure, like myself, I get so engrossed in the stories and like listening to the people. I'm like, is people tapping? Oh, sorry. Hi. I'm so sorry.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful. Ready
Good.
for today. Let's get it done.
Me too. Okay. So like I said, we are not medical professionals. We don't have doctorates. All of this is from information that I pulled from the CDC and then our stories. Hi. Because our stories matter. Like our stories of what has happened to us, it matters. Like it counts, right? So first, I'm going to read these a couple facts that I pulled off the CDC, and I was telling Jillian too, and I was like, "I'm ready for this live." Man, I was reading these articles, and I was doing nothing but pissed.
Getting mad.
I was getting mad as I was going. Okay, so 96,779 drug overdose deaths were reported from March 2020 to March 2021. That was a 28.5% increase from the prior year.
Oh, wow.
Just in that 1 year range of March 2020 to March 2021. Among females, OD deaths have increased at an annual growth rate at 14.96%. Crazy, right?
Oh my God.
And OD deaths are 36.1% higher and more likely in the month of December. So this is, I'm sure, I know I'm feeling it. I am feeling this
depression,
winter.
the coldness.
It's that winter depression.
It's cold out here and you just want to sleep.
Yes.
I'm surprised yesterday I took a nap. I'm like, what? I actually took a nap because it was so cold. I'm like, I'm not going outside. I'm medicated and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hit the children.
I'm going to take a nap.
Good.
So since 1999, the number of overdose deaths involving opiates, including prescription and heroin, have quadrupled. From 2000 to 2021, over 1 million people have died from drug overdoses.
Oh my goodness.
And the CDC further indicates that 91 Americans die every day from opiate overdose.
I have a very good question. So my question to you is,
that's crazy.
In all of this overdosing going on, did any one of it involve cannabis?
Nothing that I could find. All of it just said it was just straight. It was just straight drug. Like when you go to the CDC and try and find anything on cannabis, you can't really find anything.
Right.
And that's why us coming on here, this is us essentially adding on to what we have found, because nobody is doing this. And then, maybe somebody will hear this and then want to do a study. You know what I mean? Like you never know. You don't know. But I don't know. So I personally know and have heard stories of people coming off of addiction due to cannabis. Like they use cannabis to alcohol, cigarettes, heroin, cocaine. Like ever since I
Right.
posted that we're doing this, and ever since last Saturday, these stories are like pouring in. And by the way, you guys in here, please come tell us your
Yeah.
story. I'm going to tell you my story, but I want to hear your guys' stories too. Like these stories matter. But I keep hearing all of these stories, and I'm just like, this is insane. Because if cannabis was an option, like if it was something like if you went into a clinic and you OD'd, or say you went into a clinic to get clean, rehab, and say that rehab was like, hey, we have a softer drug, because
Right.
it is
It's a drug. It is what it
unfortunately
is. It is what it is.
considered a good drug.
Right.
But what if we give you this to help you, so your body can naturally process it, and
Right.
you can and then, so that's the thing about the opiates versus the cannabis, in my personal opinion, is the opiates. Like when I was on opiates, like after I had my son, I got postpartum depression bad. I'm
Yeah.
talking, I gained a lot of weight. I was on depression pills. Everything was okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I was pushing 175 for a 5 foot. Yes.
I
And I'm
can't believe that.
yeah, 5'1", and my normal weight's supposed to be about 120, 125 is
Right.
like what for the how my
For
age
your
and all that
height.
stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes. I was pushing 175. That my mods actually saw my picture, and Kira was like, "I wouldn't have recognized you," and that's what that pill did. They put me on that depression pill, and instead of it helping me, sure, it made everything okay, but I was just agreeing to everything.
Yeah.
I ended up gaining weight. I ended up not caring. I just gave up. The only
Yeah.
thing that I was mentally there for, and that wasn't even good, like to me wasn't good enough because it was only a little bit. The only thing that I was really able to push myself mentally to do on those pills was for my kid.
Yeah.
That way, and that wasn't even good enough though. That was only if he was like crying, or if he was hungry, or if it was time for a diaper change. That's the only time my brain was able to click through hard enough and
Right.
go, oh, okay, you got to do that. You got to get through that. But everything else, dinner sucked. Barely did laundry. I just everything was, I'll get to it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it was because of the pill. And then I ended up stopping it. I ended up going, okay, like something's not right. I'm tired of crying. I'm tired of being sad all the time. And then I quit, and I just went hardcore nothing for a long time and just fought through my depression because I didn't know. Oh, I knew of cannabis, smoked it recreational, sometimes at parties. Like it wasn't like an everyday thing like it is
Right.
now.
Right.
But I honestly feel that back then, after I had my kid, I wish I would have had weed. I wish I would have had cannabis. I wish I would have had CBD running through my system,
It would have
so I could
helped
have a lot.
a
Because
lot.
instead, what these pills do is they make you a zombie, and some people get so freaking zombified that they end up getting addicted to it, and then a lot of people take their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
They,
Well,
they,
it has
they,
side
they,
effects. It has side effects. You know, like the Xanax and
it
everything. Oh yeah,
mentally
you'll
alters your
hallucinate. You'll do
brain.
this. You thinking you're going crazy. You know, I had a boss out of New York City, and she
That's amazing, Trish.
I had a boss out of New York City, and she suffered with depression, and they put her in all these pills. Next thing you heard, she hung herself.
Yep.
And you can't even fathom the thought, but you don't know what the pills are making them think. You know what I mean? You just don't know. And yeah, I'm gonna smoke my weed. I'm good.
And that's just it. And now, so here we are. We're doing like cannabis is good, like for a lot of things, but we mainly want to hone on the moms, because there's not a lot of people that are doing this for the moms, like
Yeah.
specifically for us. Like, you know, we're being mentioned about it. But now take all of these deaths and think about all of these deaths that we just did. Think about me being able to be strong enough. Just because I was strong enough to pull myself out of that, that does not mean everybody
Anybody
is.
else? Exactly.
Correct. Also, let me add in really quickly. I want everybody to know, and I want this to be clear. If you are prescribed a medication by your doctor and you feel it helps and you want to continue taking it, I am also
By all
all for that. as well. This is not a bash pills that I think everybody should get off of them and only do cannabis. That is not what this is about. This is the benefits of if you can or if you can add it to it. Just, I want to make that really clear because there was a little misconception before when I said that, and somebody was like, well, I still need my pills. And I'm like, oh, I am so sorry. Sorry. Correct. Yes. So just so everybody's clear. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. Now let's take all these deaths, and we're thinking about all these deaths. Now think about these moms. Think about these moms that are put on these anxiety pills, on these depression pills for postpartum depression or pain. They had me, I kid you not, they sent me home with a newborn on Vicodin because I had to have, because my son had a very large head and he ripped me. I'm just going to be honest here. It happens, people. Yep. And they had to sew me back up. And because of that, not only was it 24 hours and 30 minutes to the T when they kicked us out of the hospital because I gave nap because I didn't do C-section. 24 hours and 30 minutes. They kicked me out of the hospital. They were preparing us to go home. They were sending me home with antidepressants and Vicodin with an infant.
Newborn. Oh my God.
Just had him.
Yeah.
He's a year old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a day old.
A baby. Mm.
And not only that, but while I was in the hospital, my body did not produce milk. My body prepared for the milk, but my body just could not produce. I had 3 lactation counselors. I did breast pumps. I did nipple guards. I did shields. Like I did the cream. I did all of it. And now they're like, but you got to breastfeed, but go home. Here you go. Bye. Oh, by the way, here's your Vicodin and here's your depressions.
Setting you up for failure.
So now I'm sitting here, and there's times I'm just I would kind of remember. I don't remember doing it, but I kind of remember the times that I would snap out of it. I would be rocking Wyatt, right, just feeding him, rocking him, just snuggling him or whatever. I'd zone out, and until he cried or made like a really big to where I had to like grab him so he didn't fall off like out of my arms, I was out of it. I'm sitting here holding this brand new baby, and I'm just like,
La.
Now think about all of the moms that end up not being able to snap out of that and end up getting worse. So I'm only zoned out a little bit. There's moms that could get zoned out completely, and then they take their lives. And now this kid is left without a mother because of this. Somebody's trying to hop on. It's Georgia. Come on in, Georgia.
Oh, yeah. Bring her in.
Exactly, Kira.
Canadian kind of mom made a good comment as well.
Oh, I'm scrolling back up while Miss Georgia came in. Go ahead, Georgia. I'm scrolling through.
I look terrible this morning because I found out a good friend died of an overdose. 2 of them actually. Literally this morning, about 10 minutes before I got on here. I'm like shaking. I'm rolling a joint right now because I'm just kind of, dear friend that I had when I was growing up. She was an oboe player at 7, so you can imagine she was very intelligent, very, very driven. Parents worked her probably way too hard, and drug addiction took over. And I can't believe it. I told my mom we're just about to do a talk on opiates and cannabis, and it just kind of blew me away.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. But, you said 2?
Yeah, I actually don't know what what my other friend died from, but I'm assuming, unfortunately at 37, there's not a lot of things. It's either a car crash or it's addiction that's taken them. So, but yeah, it was really strange this morning. And then coming on and, I'm like preparing for this last night. I was kind of reading the National Center of Drug Abuse statistics. Yeah. Crazy 136 opiate deaths a day and climbing in the United States. And 72% of the overdoses in the United States are opiate overdoses. And the first place you generally get your opiates, your doctor.
Yes.
That's the first place that you always get it.
Yeah.
You were saying, Amanda, that you went home from the hospital on Norcos, on Vicodins. And you guys know this already, but my husband had such a hard time in the beginning with the cancer because everybody was just throwing pain meds at him. Just throw pain meds at him. He's got brain tumors. He's in pain. And so I brought my husband home on a fentanyl patch with Vicodin and Dilaudid all at the same time, without anybody telling me that that was basically going to kill him and that it was way too much, because the doctors saw pain and just instead of figuring out what was going on, they just threw opiates at it. And I just want to preface to say that I do not feel like the doctors are given much of a choice anymore.
No, they're not.
That's true.
I feel like
No, they're not.
their hands are forced.
Yeah.
The fact that Amanda can't find any clinical trials on cannabis speaks volumes, because unfortunately doctors do not rely on research that has not had a peer review and has not gone through the process that all of, the different drugs have to go through. And for some reason, cannabis has just been put through the ringer as far as trying to get clinical trials to be able to discover us. I happen to believe personally, and I don't know anything for sure about this, but I happen to believe that Big Pharma has a lot of money in the business trying to make sure that they are getting lobbyists to continue to not allow people to do clinical trials on cannabis, because unfortunately it will put them out of business and then people can be in charge of their own healing. And that is just not something that this country and Big Pharma is prepared to do yet, which is give up the grasps.
And that's why we need to do these lives with our faces. Like, people need to see that we are not just some voice. I want them to see our face. I want them to hear our voice when they see our face and know that this shit is real. This shit is happening, and we have a way to help. And they need to stop blocking it.
I want to say to Georgia, before you continue, my heart just sunk when you said what you said.
Mine too.
And for us to have this show going on today, Amanda, this is a reason we have to keep going. The word
honestly,
has to get out, Georgia.
Dropped.
Yeah.
She told me that, and I was making my coffee, getting ready. My mom told me, because she found out on the weekend that my grandfather was being buried. So she didn't want to tell me because there was just a lot going on. And this was one of my best friends when I was growing up. We were the little karate girls. We all did karate together and stuff. Man. And so when she told me, she was a nurse. She was so smart. I mean, and it's just, it can get anybody.
Yes.
It does not care if you are black, white, woman, man, poor, rich. It does not care.
Nope.
It will get you. And especially when you're backed by a doctor, it pains me. I know so much about cannabis and what it does for my body. I know more about my medicine than probably I know about any other thing I put in my body. Yet if you were to ask a prescriber, they're going to give you just the list that are like these that come in, each of these little prescriptions that have zero context. You have to have, you have to speak medical jargon to be able to understand any of them. And it's like, how are you pretending that you're preparing people to really understand what it is that they're consuming whenever they have no idea what's in their medicine? I don't know what's in Vicodin.
Yeah.
I know what's in cannabis.
Yeah.
I know what chemicals happen after I take it.
Yeah. Well,
I'll never die from it.
Well, and that's the thing about the Vicodins and the Percocet, like all of the opiates. So if you think about it, first off, Oxycontin is a synthetic heroin. Don't know if you know, labeled as a synthetic heroin. Okay, so when it comes to these pills and you're blowing, and okay, well, first off, we're going to grow our cannabis plant, right? We're growing our plant. We know what's in our plant because we're growing the plant, and it's just plant. Like, it's just the leaves. You're going to take the leaves off and you're going to dry them and you're going to, you know what I mean? You're going to do all this stuff. Now, when it comes to these pills, they have so many versions of the Vicodin, the Oxycontin, the Percocets, because it depends on, is it name brand? Is it off brand? Where did it come from? And every single time that they cut these pills, they are cutting the pills differently. Each one of these companies is now cutting each pill differently depending on the money. That's why you have the name brand. That is the good ones. Like, those are the ones that people are like paying top dollar out on the street for. But then you have the off-brand ones that are a little bit cheaper, but then, they get the job. They get the job done. A little backstory. I'm going to be full front with everybody here today because I feel like honesty is key. I used to have a pill problem. Before I had my son, before I met my first husband, I actually had a Oxycontin problem, and I would smoke them. And it was an issue. It took me hitting rock bottom before I got out of doing that. But anyways, but that's the thing that I learned about trying to get those pills. They would tell you, okay, well, this pill, it's like $5, and then you get one that's like 15, and then you find the ones that are like 25, and those are like the primo pills that you are looking for, right? And that's because each one, depending on what pharmacy it came from, what company it came from, it was cut with something different. And what I mean by cut, if you guys don't understand, it's like laced. Essentially, it's another way to say laced. Yeah. It was cut with something different. And the ones that are cut with the younger, like the weaker stuff, is now going to make you want more because it's not enough. Yeah. But then when you get that addiction, that money just disappears to get those top dollar ones that you need to last you, to have your brain. Yeah. And then that's something else that I'd like to touch on with the opiates as well. It takes over your brain. They go in, and these man-made chemicals chemically alter your brain. They take all of these chemicals in and they put them through your system, and what it's doing is it's trying to rewire things. Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't have a really good doctor that is listening to you when you go, oh, I took that one and that was just like too much, maybe I need to cut it down. Or, hey, I took that one and it wasn't quite enough, let's tweak it just a little bit. Right. If you don't have a doctor that's actually going to listen to you when you go in and explain how it's making you feel and what it's doing to you, they're going to throw shit at you. They just will toss it at you. What works? Here you go. Yep. Like I posted a couple of days ago, when I was prescribed for my postpartum depression pills for Wyatt, I had to go in and have my dose changed 3 times because of my metabolism. Now, for me, the pills still didn't work for me. They just didn't work. But for me, I got lucky that in the beginning, my doctor was listening. I was like, hey, these aren't working. So they would up it a half a pill or a quarter of a pill, like a little bit at a time. But even the process of me having to take the pill, wait a week, that didn't work. Go back in, take the pill, wait a week, go back in. Not only is it taxing time, it is wasting time, and it's wasting money out of because for that copay every time you go in. But like I said, what about these people that go in and every time you up it, they're getting a little bit more addicted and a little bit more addicted and a little bit more addicted. And now their body, because it has chemically altered your brain, your body now thinks that it needs it. It feels like it needs, like your body will shut down. You will get sick. Like everything just is done. You know what I mean? And
well, my doctor was not like that. I had a C-section. So my doctor gave me Tylenol 3. And he told me, I am not refilling your prescription. So after it was done, I got no more. He was an older doctor, and he asked me, do you have any cats at home? I'm like, no. He's like, good. He was just an old doctor. He was just into, he's like, I'm not giving you any more. I'll give you this prescription, but when it's done, I am not refilling it. And I called him. I'm like, I'm still in pain. He's like, Jillian, I am not refilling that because you'll get addicted to it. And I need you to be in the moment with your newborn, And I'm like, because when you have a C-section, you realize how much those muscles to bend over and lift something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because not only is it your abs, but it's lower, like in between your hips, like where you do a lot of your shifting
bending and
motion.
Moving and trying to get the baby and all that stuff. I mean, yeah.
But see, like Georgia said, though, we don't have enough doctors that do that. Yeah. We don't have enough because when they start out in medical school, that's what they learn. Like that is what they are taught. That is what they are shoved down their throat. But then when you get into being a doctor, say your clinic or your ER or whatever, that's still what they continue to teach you. Right. And they don't teach you any other way. And then you come in, and now I have been starting to see more doctors that are going more towards the natural route, which is nice. I mean, it's CBD mainly, which is okay. Yeah. Because CBD and THC, yes, it goes together, and that's at least a start to get you there. Like the other day, I was floored. I went into the gas station, and right next to the counter in this big like display case is CBD drinks, and they had like 10 different flavors you could choose from. So I could literally buy like CBD in the thing. So it is starting to slowly turn there, but I don't really feel like it's turning there for them to actually help us. I still think it's more shifting towards money, because like I said, you can go into the gas station now and I can buy a CBD infused energy drink to crack open to help me
If it
out
is
for the rest of
infused,
my day.
because you're not even sure that most of
That's
these things, if
true.
with CBD,
Facts.
let's not go there. Well, we need to, but with CBD, I'm not sure that they're measuring. I'm not sure that they know the
Right.
potency of what it is. They just put numbers on here. I need to be able to scan your QR code and go and look and see what the results of your test is. Because I do scan QR codes. I'm always in the mood.
So do I.
I want to make sure that you know what I'm saying?
I have so
right,
many people that'll message me and they'll go, "Is this CBD good?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Like, I don't keep like a log of like all of the CBD companies in my head." I said, "But let me tell you what you can do. Go to Google, type in that company name, and type in the results. Like type in like QR code, type in testing results, type in. I was like, just find something. If you
should
can't,
be able to scan it though. In California, they're making you put it. They making us
that's
put it on
amazing.
our So like for me, from manufacturing, of course, I'll be doing the vapes. I'm using
You're
CO2.
right,
I'm not
Trish.
doing volatile at all, nothing. So for that, you have to be able to put so they can scan it to get the results. They're not
I
playing
like.
with you.
I see. I like that they're doing that, because there's so many. There's a lot of times the people that text me and go, "Well, how do I know if this is good?" And then I go, "You got to go find some kind of result. You got to go find some kind of testing. Like if you can't find anything that tells you a list of like what is actually in your CBD, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. If you can't find
And
what's in it,
look for a local company. If you're in a green
yes,
state too, that's what we
yep,
finally did, was found a local company. And now, I'm getting a chance to go and tour where it is that he makes the CBD. And you really get a chance to work with people more closely, and then you develop relationships, and that allows you to be able to ask them more transparent questions.
Yeah.
But in this country, we have to stop just allowing ourselves to just take something because someone who we think knows more than us told us.
Yeah.
That is a cop out on every single level, and starting with the morphine that they give you at the hospital to the Vicodins they send you home with a fucking toothache. With a toothache. You send people home with Vicodin with a toothache. It's insane. And the responsibilities of the pharmacies. My husband really did have a prescription for a fucking Dilaudid, Vicodin, and a fentanyl patch at the same time. The same pharmacy gave us all of those prescriptions with not a single person sitting down and explaining to me how I had to use these things.
So I have a question for you. Okay, so now that you know that, say your husband continued on those patches, right? Say he continued on those. But now how you see how he is with cannabis, he still has trouble, like you said, getting out of the neighborhood the other day. So imagine taking that, what cancer has already done to his brain, and adding all three of those opiates on top of his brain that he is already trying to rebuild. So putting all of that hard meds on it, I can only imagine it would probably delay his process, or not even have his process be able to be continued.
It didn't start until we got him off. And the kicker of all of this, I want you guys to know, is the fact that if you ever get any kind of brain problems, you have no pain receptors in your brain. So giving opiates does not block the pain receptors. So it does not make any difference if you have swelling in your brain. You will not touch that pain because the pain receptors do not exist in that portion of your body. So what we needed even was actually steroids to be able to get the swelling down.
Yeah.
Once we were able to get the swelling down, then he was able to kind of come back into it. But yeah, I mean, we would drive down the street and my husband would see people running next to us. And mind you, that was definitely probably a combination of the brain tumor pressing on the occipital lobe, as well as the opiates that he was on.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't even get a start fighting chance until after. And the main kicker of this whole thing was the fact that after we went to the oncology appointment the second time after he had gone in, and I truthfully went around the doctor's back and called in a prescription for steroids because I heard from another doctor that was going to be the better option. So I finagled around and lied and did what I needed to do to get him what he needed.
You had to do that.
And the first appointment after I lied, I was like, because I'm such a rule follower besides my weed. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to be in trouble. They're going to be mad at me. And my husband was like, you didn't do anything wrong. You're not a doctor. They shouldn't have let you do that. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. But anyways, after all of that, like the nurse at the oncology told us in the second visit, after she had seen my husband in immense amount of pain, asking for pain meds, that she thought he was pain-seeking. She thought that he was pain-seeking with 3 tumors in his head in the midst of having a stroke, having a seizure. She told me to my face that she thought he was pain-seeking. And I'm sitting here thinking, you bitch, you people give these people these drugs when they are asking for salvation from pain. You throw these drugs at them, and then you turn around and have the audacity to tell me to my face that you thought my husband was seeking pain drugs.
Oh my God.
I will tell you that was the last time we went to that doctor. I no longer went afterwards because I could not look her in the face without wanting to punch her, because I thought someone who is so uneducated with the amount of pain, first of all, the fact that pain doesn't touch brains, pain meds don't touch brains, and that you just really said that to my face when this man should be in hospice.
Yeah.
And it was just, they're so quick to throw drugs, and then they're so quick to condemn you once it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
But nobody will talk about the in-between parts where you're like, where does that person's choice lie?
Right.
Where are the people when you're at home with your medication and your doctors have prescribed it to you? Oh, well, now
she froze.
you've taken too much and you're an addict. So now you need to eat. And it's like,
yeah.
Kira said, do the fax percentage you said at Book Club with the 44 versus 83.
Yeah. So for GBM, which is the type of brain tumor that my husband has, glioblastoma, you have a 44% of making it a year with this disease.
Oh, wow.
That's with treatment. That's with standard treatment, by the way. If you do not treat anything, it's about 6 weeks from death to demise. So 44% chance just treating. You add cannabis, you have an 83% chance of living a year. 83%. It literally almost doubles the percentage.
Imagine that.
And it is not a freaking legal option. It's not the standard care goes temozolomide, 6 weeks of chemo, radiation, and then, you're going to do a chemotherapy basically for as long as you can live. As long as you can make it.
Isn't that insane how much cannabis can further someone's life, but yet we're still getting pushed pills? Like it really is. And that's why
I can tell you guys,
it falls down to money.
I can tell you guys, I am 51 years old and I am not on any pill for anything. No headaches, no blood pressure, no nothing. I smoke religiously.
Same.
Amen.
Religiously. And I feel good. And I laugh when they still card me when I go to get something to drink or a bottle of wine or something. And they're like, oh, we need to see your ID. I'm like, I'm 51 years old. Like, what? Man, we still need to see your ID. We don't know. It does feel good. And I go to the doctor and I'm like, well, yeah, you don't have nothing wrong with you. Oh, okay. It's important.
It is. And
to teach,
that's,
you know what I mean? So people can understand, like you said, we're not doctors. We want to continue saying that we're not doctors. We're not telling you to get off your pills. We're just showing you the advantages of using cannabis and how it can help extend your life.
And there is an alternative choice. You have an alternative choice. I know that in the moment, like me, when I finally went in to get my pill situation fixed, it took me having a breakdown, like a mental full on, put Wyatt in the crib. I shit you not, I put Wyatt in his crib. I shut the bedroom door. I walked out onto my back patio outside of my apartment and screamed. I'm sure my neighbors thought I was some absolute lunatic, but it took me snapping to finally go get help.
Yeah.
And when you go get help, because you snapped or it was in the moment and when it happened, you're at that point where you'll just take anything. You're just like, I'll take anything. Just give me something. Please help me. Please help me. Please help me. And then they're like, sure, here you go. Here you go. Yeah. Have some side effects. Here, have some pills. There you go. And I want everybody to know the reason why we come on here is you do have another option, not to replace if you can, or to help if you can. We've really got to get this opiate number down, especially with it growing with women just so rapidly.
Well, what's wild is that the opiate numbers are down and the prescriptions are down. But the thing is, when you have something like fentanyl that's come into the game, right, it changes things. And it makes you, I mean, what is it? Like the fentanyl, it's the tiniest amount that it takes.
Mine was going slow. I was just making sure I was connected. I only saw me, and then you ladies started to pop up slowly.
1 kilogram of fentanyl.
I was just waiting until Dad transitioned with the baby, and I'm like, you gotta get on this. I need to get on here and talk. I need to tell our story. Holy crap.
250,000 lethal doses. And that's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Okay. Miss Jillian.
They both came in at the same time. Georgia,
okay.
Hold on a second.
You guys
Georgia
started talking at the same exact time, and because of lag, you were talking over each other, and we heard absolutely nothing that nobody said. That's why I was like, stop. Okay.
I'm all thinking we had somebody coming on to freaking end our live because I'm smoking weed. I'm all, who is it? I'll find him.
I was like, I want to hear all of this, and I can't keep up. Okay, Georgia, do your fentanyl stat, and then Trish, hop on. Let's go. Got it.
1 kilogram of fentanyl contains 250,000 lethal doses. 1 kilogram, 250,000 lethal doses. It's insane. And I don't know if you guys know, but I believe it's Massachusetts. 39 cannabis deaths tied to fentanyl. Because if you put just a little bit of fentanyl in whatever you're making, that's how they become more addicted. Because my husband and I were like, why the hell would they put fentanyl and stuff and kill their consumers? Well, they don't kill their consumers. They kill some of them. But most of them just get really, really, really addicted. And so if you put just enough, it keeps them coming back and coming back and coming back. And eventually they'll die. But eventually you'll get more and more people addicted. So yeah, 1 kilogram, 250,000 lethal doses. That is twice the size of my town dying in 1 kilogram of fentanyl.
Okay, so what about this? So say the people that are trying to get off of opiates and you go into the clinic to get your, what is it called? What is the...
Methadone.
Methadone clinic.
Government prescribed heroin.
Right? Okay, so that's my thing. So now you're like, oh, hey, I don't want to be addicted anymore. Let's get help. And they send you to rehab or therapy, and then they send you to the clinic to get your everything. They give you methadone. I need to find it. And Suboxone is the other one. I know I mispronounced that, but that's the other one.
No, Suboxone, that's how you say it.
Oh, I did say it right. There is a true life series that MTV did, and it's called I'm Addicted to Methadone. I watched that episode probably like 6 years ago, and I was fascinated. And the reason why I was fascinated is because they wanted to get off pills and was giving another version of meth to get off of the pill. what if we had clinics that was, hey, instead, want a little weed? Do you want to eat something? Do you want to smoke something?
I think the thing that is the kicker there is the stigma. It really is the stigma behind it, because it is so much more acceptable to say, oh, I took my Vicodin today, than it is to say, oh, I had a fat dab today. And people are, it's so much more
but you know
acceptable.
What? I can't see her here, Georgia. I don't know what. I don't know what's going on.
That perception.
So just let me know. I don't want to cut you off.
Drugs are bad.
Anything. Someone's going to have to wave at me if she starts talking.
Like, drugs are bad. Weed is good.
Wait, if you test pot, oh my gosh, wait a minute. So hold on, Trish. I want to ask this question really quick.
I've seen that. If you test positive, they kick you out. They will not fucking let you continue to get your methadone if you test positive for cannabis, because then you are using a illicit drug. So same thing with the VA, Amanda. So all these veterans killing themselves on PTSD, and if you use cannabis and they test you and you pop positive for cannabis, not only are you going to be losing any of the medications that you might possibly get, but you'll be losing all of your VA benefits, including your money that you're going to be getting. So instead, they pump you full of 40 opiates at one time and say, here you go. Don't come back here with a positive drug test or else you're cut off.
Georgia, do me a favor. Slide out and slide back in. Trish can't see. Trish can't see you. Slide out and slide back in and see if that works, because it didn't work on her end. And then come back in. Nobody else wants to come on right now, so just come back. Go ahead, Trish. Anyway, I don't know. You couldn't hear Georgia. So the conversation that we just had was, if you are positive for cannabis in the methadone clinic or in the VA, they kick you out.
And you lose all your benefits. You lose everything. So she's saying that they rather pump you with the
Sorry, go ahead, Trish. I just wanted to catch you up really quick.
No, I'm glad, because I heard everybody gasping, and I'm like, what? No, but you know what? Like, that's true.
Gosh.
I can see you. Hi.
Okay, good.
Yay! Hello. Okay, that worked. Okay, cool. It worked. Cool. Okay,
so I was looking on there, and I just saw Miss Powell says it's so hard to get clean in a red state, and that is up 1,000% the truth. And it's so sad that a political leaning from one party to the other is going to decide the health of Americans. And that honestly is how it happens. And it's just, if you look at the states that have the most opioid crisis going on, they're not exactly green states. They're not states where you can just go and get weed.
I looked at it this morning and actually told Jillian, Texas and Virginia are the two biggest states for opioid overdoses. Texas and Virginia.
And Washington, D.C. is the highest for fentanyl.
Go ahead, Trish, speak. Sorry. This topic's crazy.
I was going to say, but
do you guys have that in Canada?
What was that? Sorry.
Do you guys have like an opiate, like do your doctors, because I know you guys are state sponsored basically for your doctors, do they push opiates the way that they do here in America?
Oh, hell yeah. So that's why I wanted to come on, because me and my husband have had completely separate experiences, and most of mine didn't happen until I was pregnant, because since you know what, since as long as I can remember, I was just raised this way, right? If you're not dead or dying, you're okay. Like, my family didn't believe in mental health, nothing like that. I didn't see doctors.
That way too.
I didn't go to doctors. I did my exams, and then that was it, right? Once I got pregnant, my husband, who's a type 1 diabetic who depends on doctors, right? He was like, Kate, you need to go. I had even moved from Saskatchewan into Alberta, and I didn't even apply for my Alberta healthcare for probably a year. Like a year, I didn't even have my Alberta healthcare. I was just like, well, if I need, I still got my Saskatchewan, I'll pop into a Medi Center. He submitted the form for me. I came home from work one day, and he's like, here's your new healthcare card. But for him, and now, and this isn't, you know what, maybe there's a correlation, maybe there isn't. But the doctors where he's from, it was a very big Mormon town as well. So it was very traditional, let's say.
Yep.
Opioids.
Religious.
Everybody in that town is on opioids. I kid you not. And his doctor, he had been using cannabis on his own, and they kept pushing the opioids, and he kept believing him that, no, these pills are what's going to help, right? And his doctor ready? I posted a thing, I don't know if you saw it yesterday. I commented on the post about this live, because my husband's doctor and doctors were willing to prescribe him. He was on hydromorphines. He was on oxycodone.
Woo!
He was, oh yeah, I kid you not. There's another one. It's like a crazy upper, and I can't remember the name of it right now. But ready? They also put him on the maximum dose of gabapentin at the exact same time. So you put anybody right now, you go to Google, you put in what happens when you mix opioids and gabapentin. Gabapentin at the maximum dose, basically, ladies, you can go to bed and not wake up. Your breathing will start to drop. You will drop into a coma and you will not wake up. Ready? He's not even 30 yet. He wasn't even 26 when they started this.
Wow. He was still, his life was just beginning.
And he already had a daughter at the time. Now she's 13. But you know what? It wasn't until I came into his life and I was like, what's the point of all of these medications? Like, can you explain it to me? Because I had known him for years. We were best friends. And I told him, I was just like, you're a zombie. Like, you're not there.
Not even
like,
there.
it's like looking in your eyes and it's just a haze. Like, you're not present. And so once we got pregnant, he decided to
really quickly. Hold on. Whoever it was in the comments that said that they were from the UK and had no idea about opiates until they came to the US, can you come on? Can we chat, like, now that we're here, like we're doing all of this? Can you come on? Like, I want to hear that side of it. Like, why did the UK, you know what I mean? Like, because it said that she had no idea, and then she came to the States, like over here, and it was, addiction. Go ahead, Trish. I want her
so
to come
my
on,
husband, when we got pregnant, he said that was it. He goes, because what if something were to happen? What if all of a sudden this pill's not the same or not available anymore? Because that's when they started to crack down on oxycodone, right? So that's when he was like, I need to not have these withdrawals, because what happens? And he was the stay-at-home dad because of the zombie mode he was kept in. Like, this is the only thing that we knew. Mom would go out work, he would look after baby. But he goes, how am I supposed to do that if I'm in a zombie mode? What if I'm so far gone and you're not work? Yeah, and our son needs us. So he said, no, that's when he decided right then and there. We found out we were pregnant in mid-January, and by September of that year, he had come off all of it. All of it. He refused to be on any of it anymore.
Yes. Because that is the point. That is the point, that they send these people home, dads included. They send you home on just all of these pills, and they're like, here's this baby, and if it cries, you need to tend to it. You still need to be here and awake enough and coherent enough to take care of this baby. But you know what? At the same time, you're going to take this huge thing of pills right here, and good luck.
Yeah. I mean, if you have pot in your system, you're not going to be able to breastfeed, and we're going to come to your house and we're going to see what's going on, and we're going to check everything, and it's
take your baby.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah.
And if you get tested for cannabis, we're going to take your baby. It just doesn't make sense in my head. It's ridiculous.
It's money. It's money. It really is.
And this is why
feed into each other.
And this is why we have a health crisis.
But listen,
I've been trying to find a therapist for 3 days and cannot find one.
I wrote down, so this is another crazy stat. ODs increased 519% from 99 to 2019. 519% they've gone up. And if you don't think it's because Big Pharma has found out what a paycheck they can get and have hired all these doctors as sponsors for these medications, that's exactly what's going on.
Even look at this. Look at what happened with, COVID and all this stuff. The only people that made hella money is pharmaceuticals. And then they told you it was supposed to help you. But now they come back and say, oh, no, you need to take one more. Now they're paying for a booster. It's hella money. Yep. The only people that got rich was them, the grocery stores. That was it. That was it. And people can't see past go. People, because they admire these doctors so much. These doctors get paid to push you drugs. They are drug dealers too.
Come back on.
The pharmacists are drug dealers. They selling you something. They know it's gonna have a reaction. And I don't even know, you need something else.
I don't even know if the doctors really truly stand by that anymore, or it's just the way of the land of navigating healthcare in the United States now. You know, I was speaking to
Okay,
my
there we
dentist
go.
because I'm a little bit of a rebel and I'm a little bit of an, I would say, anarchist,
Yeah, I
if
don't
you
know what
will.
happened. I
So,
got
and he
kicked
is
off
kind
there
of
for a
too.
sec,
And
and
he was
now I
saying,
lost Georgia too.
doctors don't even believe what they're saying to you. They're just silenced.
Yeah.
And they're, you know, it's one of those like you have to pay to play. If you want to be able to provide healthcare in this country, you are going to need to play by this set of rules. And it really is wild if you think about it, because you would understand that in a place like Canada where it's state sponsored. But when we have to literally pay for our healthcare on top of it, it makes you just go, who ultimately is getting the shaft in this end? Who is ultimately the ones that are, you know, and then you start to get real conspiracy theorists with it's like comes down to population control. Why are they so okay with killing
So
so many
many
of their
people, and
citizens?
they did.
It's
And they
strange.
did.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Why is it that you own a patent on a plant, but you won't allow your citizens the education to be able to do that? Why in health class don't we learn how to cultivate cannabis
Yeah.
so that we can make sure that our
Or even
homeostasis is safe?
tomatoes. They
You
don't
know what
teach
I mean?
any of it.
Amen.
Yeah.
You have to be a girl who takes a home ec class to be able to learn anything about, you know, putting good things into your body.
Yeah.
And that's why us mothers, you're right, Amanda, these talks are so important, because it really does stop with us. It stops with our kids looking at somebody going, a pill? What are you, crazy?
Yeah.
I
No.
would never.
Yeah.
Never, never, never. And if you're going to smoke that weed, you better be careful, because there might be fentanyl on that. That's going to be my kids, you know? Like,
Yep.
you have to educate them to make them understand nobody cares about you. And anybody who tells you that they care about you and they got something for you that's going to save you, they have something behind you that's going to cure that.
Well, you know what?
So
right here in California right now, we're dealing with
Adrienne,
a lot of
come on.
we're dealing with a lot of opioid deaths. So
yeah,
and it's not just one, it's 4 people in one. It was 5 people in one household. One called for help, 4 didn't make it. We're talking about adults. And we're talking
right.
about it's happening more often. We're talking about in Newport Beach, which is supposed to be like, you know, I got the money, rich people beach. They're dying.
Yeah.
That fentanyl is killing them.
Trish needs to finish her. Trish wants to finish her story before, because we only got 8 minutes. Go ahead.
Come on in, Trish.
I'll be quick. Sorry, ladies. I was just
Her connection.
I think she's having a connection issue over there.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Adrienne, why don't you come on and tell us about them treating you like a drug addict at your appointments? All because you had cannabis in your system. Isn't that crazy?
That is just so sad. That is just ridiculous. It's like they don't want you to get better. They want you to stay hooked.
Yeah.
So you can constantly be on it. You know what I mean? It's a system. A lot of people don't see it. I'm telling you, every time my mom go to the doctor, she come home with a different something. I'm like, you got to have a little bit of common sense and use your own brain and say, look, if this doesn't work, I don't need this blood pressure pill. I'm doing good.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, we only have 7 minutes, but I want to hear what you had to say, because she said in the comments, well, one, you haven't been on yet, and I love pulling new people on. I'm like, come on, because every new story helps. Every news story, they all help. She said in the comments that because she tested positive for cannabis, she got treated like a drug addict at all her prenatal appointments.
Yes. So my first appointment with the doctor, after being told I was pregnant, I didn't know I was pregnant, so I was still smoking. So I went to the doctor. They tested me for the pregnancy and for drugs.
Mm-hmm. Could you imagine being turned away because and that's the thing too, is that doctors need to be. Oh, sorry.
And then they told me,
I can't hear anything.
Marijuana.
Oh, she can't hear.
They told me even though marijuana is legal in California, they still have to report it to Child Protective Services. And so they did. And so after that, every single appointment, which I had to do a pee test, and it had to come out good, clean. Otherwise, I mean, it didn't matter, because even when I gave birth at the hospital, CPS came.
What?
They told me
In
that.
California.
They told me that if my son had come out, if they had tested him, well, they test him when they're born, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if he had come out with any THC or anything, they would have taken him away from me.
Y'all, that's a rec state. Just so y'all know, California is rec.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
like, it's a setup.
It is. It was crazy.
It's a setup.
That's
crazy.
Okay. So then I'm gonna bounce off of that really quick because you brought that up. So then now we're gonna go. So they're in California. So now we're gonna go up to New York. We're gonna shoot across the United States real quick. And up in New York, they only test mothers on state insurance. If you are not on state and you got THC in your system, New York don't care.
You get that Medicaid or anything like that, they will test you.
And New York is a rec state now. Like you can go down like a Starbucks and buy your weed at the corner store, but still in the state of New York, just like California, these are full rec states, y'all. I'm talking like you can go down like a Starbucks and buy your weed. I had to get my medical card, my marijuana medical card. Sorry, I had to say that word. I really hate saying that word, but I had to get my medical card before I came out of the closet due to a 50% custody thing with my ex-husband with my son. And these are full rec states that they're doing this. But then instead, here, have some pain pills. Have some antidepressants. It's cool.
But
and toss them on you.
I had some friends that just bought a house and they had to get tested to get insurance.
No.
They had, because I was like, y'all gonna smoke with me? She was like, no, we just got the house. And to get insurance on the house, they had to get tested for cannabis. Yes.
In the state of California.
Yes.
I'm shocked.
They had to get tested to get insurance.
I don't even know what to say. Like I don't have anything.
Yeah, that part.
Insurance. Your own personal insurance you are paying for out of your pocket.
For your house insurance. You had to test negative. You had to get tested.
I don't know what to say. Like somebody say something because I'm like.
So, and we don't know how many under the cover things that even some employers won't employ. They still won't. They say that we don't care. And that was one of the problems that was happening out here in Washington State because Amazon's headquarters is here in Washington State. Amazon are in Washington State. Anyways, their headquarters is here. Amazon jumped on the bandwagon that cannabis is good. Woo! Yeah, cannabis. We don't test. So then other businesses were like, oh, hey, well, Amazon's doing it, and decided to say that they weren't. And it was a lie. There were people and there were stories that I was reading, and they were like, I can guarantee you, they're like, I'll take a piss test in front of you and I can guarantee you it's only THC in my system. And they told me I failed a drug test. Don't give me that bullshit that there's something else in it, because these people were literally like speaking out in downtown Seattle, and they were like, we'll go and pee in a cup for you right now. We won't hide it. You can watch us pee. And I guarantee you the only thing that will show up is THC. Yep. It's ridiculous. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us your story. Really, really appreciate it. And jump on anytime you want.
But see, I'm glad that you came on and said that though, because I don't know if you saw the comments, Adrienne. Everybody was like, oh, what? In a Rex? You know what I mean? But that's why I like pulling you guys on and doing these stories, because you coming on and saying that, you just opened up to coming on and telling us that. You just opened up a whole bunch of people's minds that had no idea that was. And something I'm finding that's happening in the rec states is we're getting so used to it. We're getting so used to being able to go and buy it that all of the real stuff that needs to be said is getting lost in our states. You know what I mean? Like it's not being said. It's like, well, you can go, what do you mean you got tested? What do you mean she got tested at birth? Can't she just go down and buy weed? Yeah, she can. And she still got tested. Mm-hmm. Facts.
It's a setup.
It is. And insurance, I like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do when we get off of here, don't you?
Oh yeah, you have to go look it up. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, I
they
am.
smoke.
I am for. I'm going to get some facts on this because if I can find enough evidence on it, we're jumping on this.
Oh yeah, we need
We're
to jump
jumping
on
on. We're
because there's
jumping on
probably
it.
so many other things that we don't know about. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now they're making it for I think the NFL is now trying to pass it to where
At least
the
CBD
mm-hmm,
with no
mm-hmm.
THC. Yep.
Well, at least something to help them. They get knocked down every day.
You know what I thought was funny? I watched this. Neil deGrasse Tyson did this little thing on weed, and it's actually a sports edition. And he had this scientist come on, and this cannabis doctor, and he goes, "Let me ask you a question. Did the cannabis really make her run faster?" And everybody was like, "No," and he was like, "Duh."
Dummy.
Because what it did is because she had pain,
Yeah.
it helped relax her pain enough that she could get through her sprint to run.
Run, yeah.
It wasn't that THC was like some superpower. She like smoked up real quick.
Some ignorant person in the background is thinking that, we want to thank everybody for coming on. How are we doing, Amanda?
Yes,
I'm on time.
we're it's counting down. All right. Trish, come back on next week. You keep having connection issues. It's kicking you off, and I am so sorry. Georgia, same thing with you. But I want to appreciate everybody that came on and told us your stories, whether it was on here or whether it was in the chat. I actually kept up with the chats today. I feel a little bit happy about that. I was able to keep up.
Yes.
But it is important that we come on here and talk about that, because look at that. We started with opiates and then ended up going to being drug tested free and pregnant. So you can't get house insurance.
Yeah.
This is why we have these, because they're going to keep spitballing, and we're going to keep talking about it. And I'm telling you, we're going to end up getting loud enough that people are going to end up not ignoring us, and somebody's going to end up coming on here, and it's going to end up meaning a whole lot to somebody. So,
and it's important because you know what they're trying to say. They're trying to say that, you know what, they're trying to push all these opioids and stuff on moms. And that's the only thing I want to touch on quick is that they're trying to push these on moms that, let's be honest, how many of us are mentally unstable after having a baby? You're re-leveling out. So you're going to put them on something that's going to push them to something bad, and you're going to shit all over, pardon my French, over something that's safe and I'm not going to die from, and I'm not going to, you know what, like, it's awful. And that's what happened to me after my son. So that's why it's important. We need to tell women. They need to see our face. So we're not just a story, we're not just the doctors.
This is real.
We're sitting here. We're sitting here going, no, I said no to this prescription. And now my son's 2 years old. We're happy. We're healthy. I only use cannabis.
Have fun.
Thank you for this conversation.
Okay,
ladies.
so it's counting us down, but you know how we're going to end it? So how many deaths does cannabis have? Put it up on the screen.
0.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on and telling your story. And we will see you next week.
Yay.
Bye.
Did good today.